guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a dazzled or disappointed for you on something very exciting. I feel like the holiday releases have just started coming left and right, and I think they're gonna get worse. But I picked up the new Sephora Pro Pigment Palette New Nudes. I don't know why they called it New Nudes, not just nudes. I don't know. That's just me. But I picked this up. I have one of the last set of 3. I have the editorial. I knew they were going to release 3 more. It is really not my intent to pick up all 3. I kind of was going to pick up either Smoky Jewels or this one. And so since this one released first and just the swatches look nice online, I thought, well, then I'll pick this one up. So if you are interested to see how this performs, if it's kind of on par with the last set of 3, then just keep on watching and we'll go through all those details together. Alright, so let's kick it off with the box. Nothing super exciting here. This is very, very similar, pretty much exact to the last round of Sephora Pro palettes that we have seen. Just this has got the nude theme on it. On the back is the little diagram. There are 28 shades included in this palette, and so the theme, or the, I guess, thought behind these Sephora Pro palettes is that, you know, Sephora Pro artists put together, you know, based on the work that they do, based on looks they create, they put these shades together kind of in one-stop shop, things or shades that complement each other, that go together. And so that's where this comes from. So let me go ahead and, before we go into the product, let me take you into, or let me go to the Sephora website and we'll go through that description together so that you have an idea of price point and background and all that good stuff. Okay, so first off, it does retail for $68. There are 28 shades at 0.04 ounces each pan of product. That is in line with the last set of Sephora Pro palettes. I have heard people say that this round is smaller than the last. It's not. They're the same size, so you do get those 28 shades at the 0.04 ounces. It says it's a deluxe eyeshadow palette with 28 high pigment rose and warm shades in gorgeous textures including satin, matte, and metallic finishes. From warm cedar to tulip, this palette will take you through all seasons with tones of soft lavender and pumpkin spice. Yes, pumpkin spice. Fall's here. I'm so excited. The Sephora Pro New Nudes Pigment Palette offers the most gorgeous shades in an easy, wearable way. Pops of pink and deep chocolate browns have never looked so elegant. All the versatile and highly saturated colors you need can be found in this one luxurious palette. These soft and creamy powders are packed in a portable compact complete with a tutorial pamphlet written by the Sephora Pro artists. It says, in partnership with the Sephora Pro team, Sephora has developed these exclusive Pro Pigment palettes featuring 28 high pigment, high performance shades in matte, satin, and metallic finishes like a makeup artist's kit. These palettes incorporate a range of expertly selected finishes and shades to achieve any look imaginable. So, first off, yes, the price point of $68 is quite hefty. However, as you know, everybody says with other palettes that are also quite hefty, if you divide out the 28 shades by the price point, it ends up not being so bad. It's just basically you're paying for them all in one, just you're plunking it all down at one time. So that's the deal on that. The packaging looks the same as the last ones. Only difference is the lettering matches the theme of this palette. On the back, there's really not much except the sticker that says the name of the palette and what the volume is. It is made in the USA. You open it up exact same way as the last ones. You've got the mirror that takes over the whole cover of the inside, and then your 28 shades are right here. And as the description said, they are a combination of rosy pinks, and then you've got those deeper shades like oranges and kind of pumpkin spice shades as well, browns, things like that. So let's go ahead and go through swatches first, and then I will let you know what I have on my eyes, and then we'll go into thoughts at the very end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, instead of row, I'm going to take it down. So like if you were working in an Excel spreadsheet, it'd be a column. So I'm going to take it down this way since they are in sets of 4, and it makes it a little bit easier. So here we go with the first 4. So very, very light shades. I mean, I'm even having a hard time seeing them, so I'm assuming you will as well. But starting at the top, it's Daisy, Sunkissed, Dewdrop, and Buttercup. For the next 4, we're going to have Ribbon, Bubblegum, Wisteria, and Cream. And again, some of these are very, very light, and I have a hard time really building them up on my hand. But Cream at the top is a kind of like an orange sherbet type of shade, but it is very, very hard to see. For the next four, we have got Magnolia, Peach, Camellia, and Cantaloupe. Next up, we have got Sandcastle, Satin, Lily, and Tiger. And if you can't already tell, a lot of these mattes do swatch quite patchy. The consistency is very stiff and dry. I think I found that to be the case in the last one as well. My other one is, like I said, the editorial, and I did find the same thing, that the mattes are just very dry and patchy. Don't swatch the greatest, but as I have mentioned in the past, a swatch really doesn't indicate whether the performance is going to be good or bad. In this case, it looks like it would be bad, but until you start really applying it on the eye with a brush or your finger, you really won't know. So it looks not super amazing, but we'll go into those thoughts later. For the next four, we've got Blonde, Thread, Tulip, and Rust. And the swatches, again, they keep looking kind of patchy, just kind of thin. We're on the next to last row down column. We've got Nylon, Branch, Magenta, and Hazel. So you'll notice as we've gone through the palette, the shades have deepened more and more, and they are much more noticeable on my skin tone. I'm a light medium for reference. We are on the very last one, and it's Boots, Spiced Hickory, and Warm Cedar. Okay guys, now that we've gone through all the swatches, it's time to tell you what I have on my eyes today. So let me take you through before I zoom you in. I am wearing Thread, which is kind of the light peachy shade in my crease on the outer portion of the lid, taking it in quite a bit. I have probably like halfway to across the eyelid is the shade Rust right here, and that one I did build up a couple of times. On the other half of the lid, I have got Cantaloupe, which is the cantaloupe looking shade. And then kind of where those two met, I put a little bit of magenta right there, just kind of on that seam. And then on the brow bone, I have got Daisy. And then on the lower lash line, I have also, I did two. I think I did, okay. So I did Warm Cedar on the lower lash line, but then on top of that, I did Rust. On the inner corner, I did Sunkissed right here, and I went in with a wet brush for that. So that's what I did on the eyes today. Let me zoom you in and I'll walk you through that one more time, just so that you can see it a little closer, a little bit better. So in the crease, I have the shade Thread. I have got Rust on the outer portion. I forgot another shade, which I'll tell you here shortly. So I did Rust out here. I did Cantaloupe right here, and then this right here down the middle is the shade Magenta. I forgot that I deepened up the outer portion with the shade Warm Cedar right there. Warm Cedar is on my lower lash line, as well as a little bit of Rust. And then on the inner corner, we have got Sunkissed, and I went in with a wet brush on that. So that's what we've got going on the eyes today. So let me zoom you out, and that way we can go into thoughts, because that's what you're wanting to know. You're wanting to know if you need to pick this bad boy up. So the first thing I'm going to say is the same thing I said earlier, is that the mattes are very, very dry and stiff and thin to the touch, to the swatch, and I find that to be very consistent with the editorial palette that I have. Now, that's that on the mattes. I find them to be rougher as you get into the deeper shades. The softer ones are the lighter ones. However, I find that the lighter ones are also, well, they're all very thin. So if I go in with a swatch, if I go in on my eye, they are very thin. So I don't get full coverage like in one application. I have to build up a time or two in order to get the desired intensity. There are several light shades that really don't appear well on my skin tone. I'm a light medium, as I mentioned. So things like Buttercup, Cream, Magnolia, those really don't show up that great on my skin tone. Bubblegum shows up okay. It shows up a little bit more pink than what I see in the pan. So does Thread. Thread looks a little bit darker than it does in the pan. Lily, same thing. It actually looks like kind of a mauve rose. It applies very, very like intense pink. So keeping that in mind as well. And as mentioned, as you get into the deeper shades, into the mattes, they are stiffer to the touch, thinner and drier. So I will also tell you, there is, for those of you in which kick up is a deal breaker, there is an intense amount of kick up, and I mean a crazy amount of kick up. So I always refer to the subculture when these kind of things come up, because subculture was never a deal breaker for me. I love that eyeshadow palette, and so that being said, that kind of kick up is never a problem for me. I just don't understand why that was such an issue, and when other palettes have the same kind of kick up, it's never a big deal. I don't know, that's what I'm saying, but this one has an insane amount. If I go in with a very gentle hand with my blending brush, with the mattes, I end up with a pile of product on the pan that I have to blow off because it's just too much just to leave there. So keep that in mind as well. The next thing is the satin type shades. I don't think there's enough standout shades, but that's just me. You know, I could do a whole palette of just standout shades and supplement mattes another way. I love standout shades, but I feel like there's a couple of really good ones. So Magenta is really great. Sandcastle is really nice. And then Sunkissed and Dewdrop, you really have to use them wet in order to get a good payoff, because dry, there's just not much there. Wisteria, I think looks kind of bland. It's supposed to be this like purple lilac shade, and it looks pretty. This is one of the ones that swatches the better out of most of them, but once you put it on the lid, it's kind of, in my opinion, boring. So you have that. So not really, like, I would have liked to have seen more pops. Now this is supposed to be nudes, and I understand that, but it would have been nice to have maybe 2 or 3 just pops, so that when you have, like, you can use your nudes, but at the same time, when you need something a little bit more, you know, if you need to take it more glam, you can with a pop or 2 of color. So that being said, the satins are mainly in the nude range. A couple of them that don't hardly show up unless you use them wet. Again, Dewdrop and Sunkissed being those 2. I find Daisy, like, it applies really, really nicely. It is what I've been using as my brow bone highlight, and I have really liked it. I can go in with a pretty light hand and get a really nice color payoff with that one. So like I said, some of these shades look a little lighter than what they apply. Once you start applying them, you're like, oh, okay, this is a little bit brighter than I thought it was going to be. So that being said, I'm going to tell you that I was really disappointed with this palette. And it was one of those things where the first time it came in, when I opened it, I was like, okay, I feel like it looked better in the pictures than it did in real life. But I thought a lot of times that happens and you start using it and you just end up loving it. So I used it the first time and I was like, okay, it's all right. I think maybe I just need to use it a couple of times more. I used it again and again. And I'm like, okay, one of these days I'm going to fall in love with this palette. I just know it. But that hasn't happened yet. In addition to that, you don't want to spend $68 and have to try and love a palette. And that's what I have found with this one. With the editorial, like I said, I find that a lot of them perform the same way. The thing about that one is it's got a ton of bright shades. So I end up loving putting that one to use because there's so much versatility. That's not to say there isn't versatility here. It's just I don't want to have to work as hard to be able to get the look I want. I don't know. I feel like with this one, it's just I'm not as inspired. The shades just, I think, need extra work. And I know it had said that, like, you know, it's like kind of like a makeup artist go-to. This is really great because you've got a good color scheme. This is kind of can be your one-stop shop. But I don't know. I just don't think they perform as well as I would have liked to have seen with a $68 palette. I don't want to have to use some of them wet all the time. I feel like some of these, if you use your finger, Some of these satins, if you use your finger, will apply the same as if you use your brush. In fact, Sunkissed and Dewdrop, I don't like using my finger. I would absolutely prefer to use a brush because I have to use it wet to get it to show up. Is it Dewdrop? Dewdrop looks beautiful in the inner corner with a wet brush, but again, I have to use it wet in order to get it to really look like I want it to. So another weird thing is that every time I have used this, for some reason, the look ends up looking like something out of the Sunset palette by Natasha Denona, and it took me a couple of days to figure that out. I'm like, what does this keep looking like, and why is every look I keep coming up with look the same as the day before? And I keep thinking, okay, like I'm looking at my eyes trying to see if there's something just out of the ordinary, super extraordinary, and I'm like, I think I've got all this in my collection. I think this is so dupable. Well, finally the light bulb went off earlier today when I was looking in the mirror, and I'm like, what does this keep looking like? And the light bulb went off. It keeps looking like the Sunset palette by Natasha Denona. So maybe it's just that I've kind of seen it before, that I just already have a palette that I very much like, that is very easy to use, that this one just didn't stand out to me as much. So that's not to say that this one wouldn't be a Dazzled for you. Just because it's a disappointed for me does not mean it would be a disappointed for you. Just know that that is my take on it. That's what I have come to find about this palette. So, you know, if you're still interested, I say give it a try. You may end up loving it. And in addition to that, there's 2 others coming out that might be amazing, and that's the Smoky Jewels and Editorial 2.0. And so those I think are coming out in the very near future. But for the time being, this one's a no-go for me. Maybe one of the others will be better, but I just can't see myself picking this one up a whole lot and putting it to use. Alright guys, before I let you go, I need to give you the verse of the day. This is meant to encourage you, to help motivate you. If you're having a bad day, I hope this helps boost your spirits. It comes from Jeremiah 1:5, and it says, Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart, says the Lord. I hope it helps encourage you to know that, you know, even before you were born, Jesus knew you. He loved you. He just knew every little thing about you, what your personality would be like, just every bit of your life. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing, you know, that someone would care so much to just know that much about you, to love you that much, and he's just so amazing. So if you are down in the dumps, if you're having a bad day, just know Jesus loves you, cares for you so very much. The Bible says that he knows how many hairs are on your head, which at times blows my mind, but he is just that amazing. So I hope this helps encourage you. I hope you found this video helpful. If you are looking to see if this palette is going to work for you, I'm curious to know if you've already picked this up, or if you're looking to pick it up. If you have, or if you're going to, please let me know. And if you're looking to pick up one of the others, the Editorial 2.0 or Smoky Jewels, please let me know that as well. I'm really, really curious to see which of the 3 people are wanting to go for. And if you do already own it and you love it, I want to know why. Maybe there's just something I'm missing about this palette. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing. I would love to have you as part of this YouTube family, and I'd love to go through all of these holiday releases with you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Alright guys, take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!